Why should we consider implementing a hybrid approach to teaching? What are the benefits? And is it only a savings exercise, or may there be educational benefits to pick up as well? In this talk, I'll briefly summarize what I learned by doing a literature review focusing on the advantages reported by teaching staff and students when they took up hybrid methodologies. I obviously also mapped out the disadvantages, and I'll get back to them later. The literature indicated that compared to other types of teaching, hybrid formats offers significant organizational advantages. No news there. The dropout rate was lower, access to teaching became easier for students living in remote areas, and education institutions could offer disadvantaged students better opportunities. From the perspective of the students, elements of distant learning provided a significant advantage in that they could choose courses and study subjects that were not offered at their place of study. Educational institutions have better opportunities to offer elective subjects or specific courses which are usually not offered at the specific school. Aside from the organizational advantages, there are advantages that links to what we might call the epistemic dimension of the learning design. The epistemic design describes the activities that the teachers plan and present to the students, such as tasks, challenges, assignments, and so on. The way of structuring knowledge and knowing are integral to the epistemic design. One type of activity stood out as the most valued. This was the better possibilities for inviting experts and guest lectures. It simply seems much easier in hybrid learning environments. The involvement of external resources was a significant contribution to students' motivation and to an education with a global perspective. The possibilities to include external experts and the opportunity for students to use resources from outside school in a school-based context in a more flexible way have had great advantages. In several publications, the experience of more freedom and better connections between face-to-face students and distant students were also mentioned among the most important findings. To my surprise, the same was the case between the lectures and the students. Qualities such as career learning and practical experience of working methods and technologies that are common at workplaces are also mentioned in a few of the articles. So when focusing on the social dimension, I noticed that students mention the increased freedom to plan their lives. The time previously spent on transportation and social school activities may be spent on local activities and studying instead. In that way, hybrid learning can contribute to increase of sociality and presence. The conclusion is that hybrid teaching can give the participants a feeling of increased flexibility and greater control of their learning strategies. At the same time, it's a flexibility which develops study and career competences in a society with increasingly more flexible workplaces and increased expectations of self-organization. In these descriptions, technology not only became a material element in the set design, it also became an element in the social design of the learning space by ending or leveling out asymmetrical relations. As several studies have emphasized, opening learning spaces towards students' lives and making use of convivial technologies can strengthen social relations and be motivational for students. As an example of this democratization and opening of the learning space, one example comes from the involvement of 300 nursing students and 27 teachers in New Zealand. Researchers designed a so-called transition program where students participated in activities through voluntarily and fun and informal online happy hour sequences, which created a playful way of learning how to act in a new technological context. A significant lesson from the experiment was that it could have considerable advantages to include employees in knowledge sharing and utilize the knowledge and resource ecology that the context offered, especially when involving sharing a pint of beer or two. Now you have reached the point where you can choose to go more in depth with the conceptual understanding of hybridity in learning, or you can go straight for the pre-workshop assignment. It's up to you.